So for this audio analysis, I have two excerpts from the novel by Oscar Wilde, The Picture of Dorian Gray. So throughout this novel, there is a continuous description of the theme of beauty and youth opposed to the decay caused by aging. So to begin with, I want to look at these descriptions in the first excerpt, and I want to look at how they may influence Dorian Gray into developing from one person in chapter 2 to another person in chapter 13. Then I want to look at his character and some of the themes present in this novel. Then by using secondary material, I want to look at how the double life is present in this novel. Afterwards, I want to put it into historical context and then have a conclusion. Alright, so for the descriptions of beauty and youth, I want to have a quote from chapter 2, and it is Lord Henry speaking to Dorian Gray, and this is on line 9 to 15, and it goes, "Because you have the most marvelous youth, and youth is the one thing worth having." Whereto Dorian Gray responds, "I don't feel that, Lord Henry." And he says, "No, you don't feel it now. Some day when you're old and wrinkled and ugly, when thought has seared your forehead with its lines, and passion branding your lips with its hideous fires, you will feel it terribly." So what he's doing in this quote is that he is of course stating the importance of youth, which is the one thing worth having, and then he's using these very negative verbs in order to describe the enemy of youth, which is time and aging. So he's using seared and he's using branded, which are very vivid metaphors to describe how your face gets wrinkled by time. So what he's doing to describe beauty is that he is comparing it to to nature, and he's using nature imageries where this can be seen where he's comparing it to sunlight, and he's comparing it to, and I quote, "that silver shell we call the moon," which is on line 19 to 20. And by doing so, he is saying that beauty, he's saying it is the silver shell, which of course is on the surface, and therefore he is saying that beauty is only seen on the surface of things. It cannot be seen in thought, and it cannot be seen in genius. Beauty is only present on the surface of the world, and how he's comparing it to genius is that he is saying it is indeed higher than genius, as it needs no explanation. And this is on line 17 to 18. So in comparing it to nature and saying that it needs no explanation, is that he's saying that beauty is very pure and it's very natural. So you can almost, we have this natural perception of nature being very pure and unblemished, and that is the same goes for beauty. So all these descriptions he's doing this monological lecture to Dorian Gray to realize his beauty and to realize his youth. And by Dorian Gray being a very young man, he is quite possibly very susceptible to influences from other people, and therefore we can tell that he is adopting these views that Lord Henry has of beauty into his own character. So, but Dorian Gray in chapter 2 is a young man, and we can tell that he is very innocent, and this can be shown in the quote on line 5 to 6. It says, "What can it matter?" cried Dorian Gray, laughing as he sat down on the seat at the end of the garden. And this "what can it matter" is that he is being sunburned by being in the sun, and he's saying it doesn't matter because he has this pure picture of beauty not being important. He cannot see the importance of it, and he's saying it by laughing. So we have this innocent, childish behavior, but this changes when we go to chapter 13. So in chapter 13, I've chosen a quote on line 35 to 39, and it goes, "Years ago, when I was a boy," said Dorian Gray, crushing the flower in his hand, "you met me, flattered me, and taught me to be vain of my good looks. One day you introduced me to a friend of yours who explained to me the wonder of youth, and you finished a portrait of me that revealed to me the wonder of beauty." So here we've seen that he's completely altered his views of what beauty and youth, their importance. And what he's doing is that he's saying he's been influenced by this friend being Lord Henry. And what we can see here is that he is doing this while crushing a flower in his hand. Now the flower may represent nature, and he is crushing it. So while Dorian Gray being very much older but not having aged on the surface, he is very beautiful on the surface, but his actions show the depravity of his soul, as he is crushing something beautiful and pure as a flower. Okay, so just to describe how the duality is present in this novel, I've chosen a quote, and it is on line 62, and it goes, "Each of us has heaven and hell in him, Basil," cried Dorian. So he's saying that basically that everyone has good and evil present in him. Now Dorian may be beautiful on the surface, but his actions and his the depravity of his soul is shown on the painting. So the painting is it is a picture of him, but it is aging and it is getting uglier and uglier. So what they do in this chapter, they try to describe it as with natural causes such as mildew or damp, but it is indeed a representation of how his soul is decaying in this story through his bad actions. So just to describe this, I have chosen something from the British Library, which is an analysis of the picture of Dorian Gray. And the quote goes, "The idea of a double life, of outwardly playing a respectable role while inwardly pursuing an existence that crossed the boundaries of acceptable behavior." So Dorian's unacceptable behavior is because he is so handsome, they are justified. So we can see that while Dorian may not get he doesn't get punished for his bad behavior. We haven't really met it in these two chapters, but we can see that he is behaving badly by, e.g., crushing the flower. And so we can see that he doesn't get punished for this because he has this outwardly beautiful looks. Alright, so how this is can be seen in the Gothic period. This story takes place in the Gothic period, and therefore there is very usually an element of uncanniness. And how this story is uncanny is that we have this painting of Dorian Gray which is aging and becoming more and more ugly as his soul is becoming more ugly, if you can say that. And therefore we have this, he can see himself in the painting, but while as the painting doesn't look like him, it looks like what he is becoming. So therefore we have this uncanniness where he can be familiar with himself, where he can see the reflection of his action in this painting. So all in all, in this novel, we have these themes of the lines and the boundaries between maybe you have the surface of being good looking and beautiful, but you can have a soul that is very much in decay, in moral decay. So what Dorian Gray represent is maybe you can have a picture that is beautiful, and we can see this as a symbol in the title, where the picture of Dorian Gray can mean literally the picture that is painted by him, but also this mental image of him being becoming a debauched character. So yeah.